Okay, so I figured that I should start recording some of these projects because they are going to look very different when they're done, and it's probably worth, posterity and all that. This is the bow of the boat inside. In this location prior to today was the v-berth. Um, and I have basically taken out the v-berth itself. I've taken out the sole, and then I've taken out the fresh water tanks that sat up here, and I'm in the kind of halfway through. You can see these are the freshwater hoses, and so the reason that I did that, it actually it's very much like all other boat projects. Like if you give a mouse a cookie type of a project. Originally, the problem was that the v-berth, when you would lay on it, it was sag in the middle, and the reason is that there was a broken stringer right down the center, and there wasn't really, I mean, there really wasn't any sort of a good way to get to fixing it without removing the uh, the plywood. And so as I started to remove the plywood, some of the plywood was actually glued to the other stringers. And so as I removed the plywood, it just completely dismantled the entire frame. So at that point, I realized that was going to have to be rebuilt. And I was looking at the freshwater tanks. In fact, I'll take you out here. We'll go look at the freshwater tanks, which I removed. They were the original freshwater tanks from 1968. There they are down there. They're like, I think they're 25-gallon tanks, and there was all kinds of crud and stuff in them. I guess the previous owner, Jim, was telling me that he never used them. Well, that was 21 years of them never being used, and if I ever wanted to have fresh water, I didn't want to drink whatever was in there. So it just started with, okay, we're going to fix the stringer. Then it turned into, let's replace the fresh water tanks. And then it was like, well, we're down to the sole, so we might as well replace the water pump and the sole itself, because it was a 1/2 inch plywood. I want to move that up to 3/4 ply. And so here we are. This is going to be rebuilt more or less the way that it was. I think if anything, I may drop the frame down 1.5 inches, and rest it on the existing kind of studs that are there. There's one right there. There's one right there. There's one right there. And I can manufacture, or I can, essentially construct a wood frame that will sit flush to the top of those with 3/4 ply, because the 3/4 ply is not going to flex nearly as much as the 1/2 inch did. So I think I can get away with a little bit longer spans. Obviously, the sole is going to get rebuilt, and when I do the sole, I'm going to, since it's open, for now, I think what I'll do is replace, or rather move the bilge pump, which is right there. See the bilge pump? It's kind of it's not at the lowest point of the bilge, so I want to move it back a bay here and put it right in here. And it looks like there are some holes drilled there. I mean, there are some holes drilled there. So my guess is that the bilge originally was a little bit further back. This is a lower part of the bilge, so it should pump a little bit more water out when it kicks on. There's a bunch of electrical work that needs to be done. Here's an electrical line that's just sort of been decommissioned and it's just taped off. You can see there's a hose right there. I don't even know what that goes to. I'm guessing that that's maybe the old shower bilge or shower sump, but I'm not entirely sure. So still some investigation that needs to happen in order to figure out, what's safe and what's really important for me to put everything back together. It's up on the hard right now, as you saw from that previous shot outside. And since I have it up, I'll show you there's a couple other things that I'm doing. Walk out here real quick. I'm at a place called Modutech Marine, which has been, they've been pretty good to work with. So here she is up on the hard. She just got new bottom paint. There were a bunch of places underneath. You can kind of see those white spots. Those are all areas where I looked and found open bungs. And so I've just kind of, I've thrown some 5200 in there, and then they'll get repainted with the epoxy bottom paint. I'm also replacing let me show you kind of right there. There's the through hole gap. So the raw water intakes were both gate valves, and so that was a pretty high priority since it was on the hard to get those replaced. So I'm waiting for those parts to come in tomorrow, and we'll get new ball valves and new through holes installed. What else is going on here? There's a bunch of kind of like cosmetic things. It's kind of funny though, because everybody that comes out and looks at it is like, wow, she's in pretty good shape. Oh, I know. I just discovered that right here we got some kind of punky wood. So I got some git rot. I think that'll do it. I'm guessing that the reason it's punky here is because of it's like a freshwater penetration, either along here or along this rail up here. The sole of the deck inside is a little bit lower, so it's not from that, but the cockpit sole is probably maybe about here, if I had to guess. I pulled the props, and I had them inspected. They were the original props from 1968. They are beyond being able to be serviced, but I'm not going to put new props on her right now, so I'll start looking for props. They're 1511s with a 1-inch bore. So once I have a little bit of time, and on Monday or Tuesday, I'll probably call the prop shop and find out what are some alternative prop sizes, because that 15-inch prop is seems really like an odd size. There's lots of stuff in 12s, 13s, 14s, and 16s. So I don't know if I've just got a strange 51-year-old size, or if it's just that I'm not really sure what the deal is. We got little kind of funky spots here on the top side paint, but generally speaking, it's holding up pretty well. This is not going to I'm not going to do anything with this time that she's out. I'll probably wait for the next time out, next season. What else? I got some bright work and some, the deck paint needs to be done. Here actually you can see how the 5200 is dripping. I don't know why it's dripping, but I thought that was just going to kind of spooge up in there and then stick, and it didn't. So I might have to make sure that is okay. I'll talk to the shop tomorrow. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with the boat right now. Bunch of stuff inside, the big pieces I showed you, yeah. So 1968 Fairliner, 34-foot with fly bridge. Really happy to have it. Really happy to have the project. Pretty excited that it's going to be going back in the water in the next couple of days. Kind of makes me nervous to have it out of the water. Kind of makes me nervous to have it in the water too, to be honest, but it's a lot more fun to have it in the water than out here. So that's where we're at.